Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heritage Hemp podcast. I'm Miles from Heritage, and this is a podcast where we interview different founders in the hemp industry and kind of learn and connect with them as the hemp industry grows before our very eyes. Today, I'm very honored to be joined by Skyler from Beedelightful. How are you today, Skyler?
I'm buzzing. It's a beautiful day.
Awesome. So I just want to start off and ask you, how'd you first get interested in the hemp industry? What is your personal hemp journey? And then what led you to start your own company primarily in the CBD/hemp space?
Good question. Yeah, so I love the cannabis plant overall. I'm a big fan of all the cannabinoids. I find that there's a lot of benefit in my own personal use, and a lot of people have been telling me that they've been finding a lot of good benefit too. I actually started in edible cannabis. I started in, let's see, well, it's been about 12 years now. I started in the early 2000s making gluten-free, vegan, organic edibles in Washington State. I was actually selling to the local dispensaries, and I was totally vertically integrated, as green as humanly possible. So I was doing all gluten free, vegan, organic edibles, packaged in compostable packaging, all vertically integrated to where we were growing the cannabis all organically, extracting it by hand, and then of course, taking that pure raw love and putting it into some really yummy edibles. I actually found that cannabis worked really well for me for all the things that I was experiencing. One of the things is patience. Cannabis has made me a very patient person. And I found a lot of people had told me too that they were using it, finding a lot of really great benefits from all the things that they were going through. And it just inspired me. It inspired me to do more, make more products, help as many people as humanly possible. And yeah, ever since then, I fell in love with the entire plant, not just the hemp side. But hemp has been kind of my mainstay for the last going on 7 years now. I'm a hemp farmer. I am vertically integrated with our CBD products, and we now have a forward-facing consumer brand, as you know, called Beedelightful. And our main focus is saving the bees, saving people, and hopefully saving the world in the process.
Absolutely. So, how did you go from doing the edibles in Washington State to shifting your focus to bees?
Good question. So when we were actually making our edibles on the farm, we actually had some organic vegetables. And just being a conservationist and somebody that's kind of trying to be green and getting more focused on that side of things, I told my grower at the time, I was like, if we had some bees, our organic vegetables would be real full up. We'd have bigger
Yeah.
tomatoes and bigger fruits and bigger vegetables. And we're trying to be as self-sustaining as possible, growing our own fruits and veggies. But we also loved cannabis, and we were growing our own with our medical license. So we looked at each other at the same exact time. There may have been a joint involved, I don't know. But we looked at each other at the same time, like, man, what if the bees went from here to over there? And we even came up with the whole buzz bees. We're like, oh yeah, THC honey. People would eat that crap up. And I was just like, wait a minute, you're totally right. They would eat that. People would love honey that's infused with cannabis. And so, when they were shutting down the medical marijuana in Washington State, I didn't have $500,000 to go and just buy a license. And that's not how much it cost, but they had a
Yeah.
lottery, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And only the rich people won the lottery, so I wasn't one of those people.
Yeah.
So I had my Jerry Maguire moment, found my way down to Texas. It was between Oregon and Colorado, and those places were beautiful. I really loved them, but I'd never seen so much love for the cannabis plant and hemp plant in my entire life until I went to Texas. And I was actually the first. I was the first person to actually make edible hemp products in Texas ever. So we actually were license number one in Texas, and we actually made history, which I was not expecting by any means. I was just like, hey, I love cannabis. I want to bring that cannabis infrastructure to a place that didn't have any. And then people were like, man, you're from the future. And so now
Uh,
I'm just like, all right, well, I guess that's who I am. I'm from the future. And so, yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, let's do it. So we looked at it and we're like, well, honey is something that I already had thought of doing. And I was just like, well, that's kind of a perfect medium because realistically, we wanted to create something that was mission based and mission
Hmm.
focused. And saving the bees has always been something I wanted to work on. So I said, well, let's make something where we can save the bees, but also have all of our consumers and people and customers that are buying our product feel like they're a part of something too. And that's where we landed was doing a CBD honey and CBD raw honey at that. So it's been a very interesting transition from making THC edibles to then going to
Hmm.
CBD and then now going back into the THC industry. To try to provide those full spectrum benefits for everybody. So, anyways, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually was hoping to make it down to Austin for the HIA con, but unfortunately
Totally,
it got moved, and that conflicted with my actual work schedule. So, um,
totally, yep.
uh,
Austin's beautiful. Austin actually is a really great space and spot to start a business. Everybody
yeah,
down there and Texans in general have that southern hospitality. When
yeah,
they saw the product, they really lost it. They're like, wow, this is phenomenal. And, we actually kind of helped write those laws in Texas because we were creating a CBD honey in 2017. We were pre compliant before they wrote the compliance. So some of the people that helped write the bill said, "Oh yeah, well we just followed what you did and da da da." I'm like, I'm not going to take credit for the bill. By no means am I going to take credit for the bill, or I didn't write any of it. I didn't even
yeah,
proofread it. But the people that did write the bill said, "Hey, you had QR codes before anyone. You had third-party lab testing before anyone. So we just went ahead and wrote that in the bill to follow exactly the same steps of those CGMP that you were already following." And so I thought that was a big, tip of the hat. I was like, "Man, that's huge. That's very kind gesture to say, hey, you were compliant first, you're still compliant to this day, and now here's license number one for Texas." So I was very blessed and very happy to find that Texas is actually more liberal and more accepting of the fact of like edible hemp than my own home state in Washington. Washington to this day still does not have a edible hemp program. We have cannabis, we have CBD, we have THC, but we don't actually specifically have an edible hemp program. So I'm like, wow, Texas is where it's at. People in Texas
yeah.
understand that we need to have access to this plant. And so now I don't think you can see it, but we have about 1 million plants out there, all growing up to be about 12 to 15 feet tall. We've now transitioned into doing with another company, Biofiber Hemp Industries, into
Hmm.
doing just industrial hemp now, because there's so
Yeah.
many people that are growing CBD that I can actually work with the consortium of growers that I already have established, relationships with to
Hmm.
buy their CBD that's all organically grown. And now we can focus on doing like building materials, hemp animal bedding, and like your company, we can like Airtage, we can actually provide those fibers and strands to provide, for companies that do want to make clothes and otherwise. And so I just find it to be so exhilarating because this industry is we're still at the precipice. We're still at the
Exactly.
very beginning.
Yeah.
My local health department still doesn't understand that my product's legal. It's just, I'm like, man, I've been trying to tell you, but and so it's just like we have to keep knocking down these doors. We have to be the jet setters of this industry and of the space because we don't have any other route. We can't let them say that this isn't a permissible product when we know for darn sure that the Farm Bill approves it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I can go on a rant, but I'll leave it at that. But I'm so very blessed to be part of the industry, and I'm so very happy to be able to represent bees and hemp and any way that I can, from hemp paper to hemp clothes, anything that we can do to help with the hemp plant and the furthering of it. I'm all about it.
Absolutely. And hopefully the updated farm bill, hopefully this month, helps propel everything along and make it a lot easier for all of us.
Yeah, I'm shooting for that, and I'm really hoping to see a very substantial change in like the Safe Banking Act.
Yeah,
You'll notice that we
absolutely.
actually had legalized medical research recently, as of last year, but
Hmm.
nothing has happened with it. So I'm really hoping that something does come down the pipeline for that. I'm really hoping that they realize, and what I've heard is that the HHS actually just recently sent a letter to the DEA telling them that it's time to reschedule. And so hopefully with the rescheduling from a Schedule 1, which is
Yeah.
the same as, fentanyl and heroin, which we
Yep.
all know hemp does not belong in that category, nor does cannabis for that matter.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that those things and that letter that was sent does reschedule and does give that opportunity for more people to have some business, whether it's ancillary or plant touching or otherwise. Like you create beautiful clothes. I want
Mhm.
more people to make hemp clothes. I want more people to make hemp plastics. Like, I
Yes.
don't want to
Yes.
use a plastic bottle for my product.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm being forced. Like
Yeah.
some carriers won't take glass. So, like shipping glass is
Yeah.
expensive. And it's not only
Yeah.
expensive, it's a waste of energy. I mean, if you just look at the weight of a glass bottle to ship
Yeah.
that across the country compared to a plastic bottle, how much fossil fuel are we using to ship that glass across the way? A lot. you
Yeah.
know? And so, like, I would love to see the hemp industry and the hemp plastics to come around and to be supported to the max degree. And I'm hoping that this podcast will do single handedly get people excited about hemp, get people working on it,
Yeah.
and pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just one podcast. There's other great podcasts out there like the Lancaster hemp farming podcast, great
Yeah,
resource. Um,
totally.
but I completely agree with you because I currently ship my clothing in like, normal poly mailers that are just like all synthetic, but if that were made
Hmm.
out of hemp,
Right.
I mean, game changer.
That's it.
But
That's
the
it.
thing is, this stuff costs, 44 cents per unit versus, a dollar 20 per unit for,
Or
compostable
more.
mailers. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And it's just not like there's not enough people that realize the benefits of the hemp plant at like a total, and we've just
hmm
been kept in the dark for so long that it's time to shine that light. It's time to
hmm
shine the light in this dark space that people are just skipping over.
absolutely. And I think that will be an interesting question for you being in the consumable food space. What challenges have you encountered specifically in working with hemp and doing CBD products specifically? I know that you obviously have to get regulated or tested by the FDA, but what other types of hurdles do you have to encounter? Is it like consumer acceptance or anything else?
Thankfully, the consumers are the best part. People that are using CBD products, they know the value that can be added. And of course, I can't make any medical claims. But what is really frustrating for me, and one thing that I experienced in this space, is I was one of the 10 people or companies to receive an FDA warning letter. And I received that FDA warning letter without throwing myself or anybody else under the bus, because I listed things that they had spoke on. They wrote the 6630507, which is the specific, it's a patent, which recommends and outlines the medicinal benefits of CBD. I had mentioned some .gov resources. I had mentioned some .hhs resources, and then they sent me a warning letter saying, "Hey, you're marketing your product as has like benefit." I'm like, "Wait a minute. No, I'm not. I've never said there's any benefit to CBD at all. Matter of fact, any person that does have ever met me, out of the million or more people that have met me, they will tell you, Skyler specifically said, you're gonna love CBD. I love CBD. You should totally Google it. All I said was what the messed up stuff that you guys wrote. They don't even like that.
Yeah,
So I had to remove all of those articles from my social media, my website. And I'm like,
yeah,
wait a minute, you guys wrote this. You guys wrote this stuff. We're talking
hmm
.gov. This is
yeah,
stuff that the government wrote. And they're like, nope, can't do it because you're marketing it as a drug. I'm like, no, I'm not marketing it as a drug. You're the one telling people that it works for all this, this, and this. I'm just saying that I love CBD and you should totally Google it. That's all I've ever told anybody. And
yeah,
it's been a running joke because in the CBD space, I mean, as a CEO especially, I cannot say anything whatsoever about any medical benefit to CBD at all. Period. I mean, I could share some anecdotal experience from just me as a person,
yeah,
but I can't say that
hmm
there's any benefit whatsoever. And it's just really frustrating because we all know shit works. you know? I mean, part of my
yeah,
French here, but like
yeah,
CBD is great. I love CBD. Everybody loves
hmm
CBD. I'm like, I tell people too, like at the booth, when I see people at the booth every day, I say, hey, I can't make medical, claims, but I don't know anybody that would come and spend another $30 on a bottle of honey if it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat. I use cannabis on the daily personally. It helps me
Hmm.
with my patients. It helps me get things organized. It helps me handle the 500,000 conversations I have every day with everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. And then, like, say, for example, again, I don't really want to, get myself into too much trouble here, but the local health department, my local health department is saying that it's not an allowed product. I'm like, okay, great. I'm not making it in Washington. I have a license from Texas. And like, oh, well, you still can't sell it. I'm like, how is it that every other county besides the one that I live in is totally fine? And how
Hmm.
is it that the USDA inspector, the officer, specifically gave me the how to on how to subskirt to do it? He says you apply for a infused honey license. I'm going to approve you. If you apply for just CBD honey, then I can't approve it. But if you apply to make some hot honey, some cinnamon honey, blah blah blah, I'm not going to fine you. I've been told by my superiors not to fine you. I've been told by my superiors not to shut you down. So I'm just like, wait a minute. Everybody in the whole state of Washington knows that people are making edible hemp products, and everybody's cool with it, besides my specific county in which I live in. This gentleman, and I can't name names, but this
Yeah. Yeah.
gentleman
Yeah.
specifically said, don't worry about that person at the local health department. Don't worry about her. And I'm like, oh, all right. you know. And then here's another thing. I was literally told that I'm not allowed to sell the CBD honey in this specific county. And then when the person that was like there to tell me that, she hands me a ticket. She says, "Oh, by the way, this is in front of a bunch of people, by the way." She says, "Oh, just so you know, you don't have to pay this." And I'm like,
What?
what? She's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's no problem. They're not going to send it to collections or anything." I'm like, "Okay, well, see you next week." Like, I'm like,
Wow.
damn, all right, well, you guys just need to get your crap together, because holy moly, like, you guys are giving me mixed signals and I'm getting whiplash.
Hmm.
So those are just a couple of the challenges. The FDA, if they were to say, nobody can make edible hemp products, then great, they would have shut it down by now. But we have
Yeah.
laws specifically saying that they can't do that. We've created such a
Hmm.
big business, such a billion-dollar industry. They can't do that.
Yeah.
And so, like, now we're looking at Congress telling the FDA, you have to regulate. You have to. I'm all for regulation. I
Yeah.
don't want products on the market that are going to
Absolutely.
get people sick. I don't want products on the market that are going to get people, messed
Ill.
up, or,
Yeah.
anything. I care about public safety probably more than I should. All these other companies that are making their stuff in their garages and all this stuff, like, I don't do that.
Hmm.
Honey is one of the best items because it's so, like, you don't have to have it hot, you don't have to have it cold, excuse me, and, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the perfect item to be making, and there's not a huge amount of regulation. But I still bottle my products in a commercial kitchen. I still follow CGMP, manufacturing. I still follow all of my SOPs, to a T, because I
Yeah.
don't want any consumer, related anything. I want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to be healthy, and I think that I am creating, I hate to be cliche, but a more delightful world. Like, I really do. Our
Yeah.
tagline is healthy people, healthy bees, a more delightful world. And I try to live by that, in breath and in action.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
challenges, but
um, so given all that you're kind of dealing with, what strategies have you found to kind of deal with that, but also help grow your business? Like, how do you overcome those obstacles and really just make honey and make money and save the world?
well, I listened to the superior of the health department, which is the USDA,
Hmm.
officer slash inspector, and he said just to ignore her.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, well, if that's what you say, that's fine. I'm down. I'm
Hmm.
down to do that. Thankfully my company's out of Texas, one of them
Yeah.
anyways. And, Texas is totally fine. I've never received any backlash, besides maybe some, confused Texans that didn't understand that say the product is legal. And so I was able
Yeah.
to educate them in the matter. I've been able to educate some other DPS, Department of Public Safety agents and officers as well. So
Mhm.
really it's just been, 5 years before I moved back to Washington of just educating Texans, educating
Mhm.
Texans on what CBD is, what CBD isn't,
Yeah.
the fact of the
Yeah.
matter that it's non-psychoactive. And now
Yep.
we do have, psychoactive hemp, which, I'm not opposed to, just to be clear, because it's
Mhm.
like, that's all they have. If they're, what would you prefer? Would you prefer somebody to go break the law and put their family and their lifestyle at jeopardy? Or maybe just go get a Delta 9 product at the local, smoke shop, because it's like if those are our two options, then sure, anybody in the industry can have as much backlash against, psychoactive hemp as they want to. But if those are your only options, we got to do what we got to do. If we only have Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10 at the local shops, then that's what we're going to be using. I'm
Yeah.
not going to specifically go out of my way to go on the black market to go buy illicit products and then hem myself up. I've got too much riding on my family. I got a baby due in 2 months. Like, there's no
Oh,
way, And so,
congratulations.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so, it's just like I'm all for getting cannabinoids to people that need them and to see
Mhm.
the benefit that the veterans are having, to see the benefit that the people are having. It just tickles my heart pink because I want to see that. And I stand for the people that would prefer the natural cannabis plant. And I feel that it's very silly that, I mean, thankfully, Austin, they've decriminalized it. So you can have an ounce or less and it's only like a parking ticket. And they're not
Yeah.
even, taking you to court anymore, which is I'm very thankful for that. So thank you to whoever put out that memorandum to say, hey, stop messing with the stoners, start, looking for real criminals, like
Yeah.
we're very thankful for that. But we really have to see some change. We have to see some change because the Delta products are great, but like, to be honest, and you and I both know that they are synthesized.
Yeah.
Like, I would prefer, and I do choose personally, a naturally grown cannabis cannabinoid,
Yeah.
And so I would like to share those things with my local brethren in Texas, but I just can't. And
Mhm.
so long story short, the challenges meets the benefit of people actually standing up for what they believe in. People like Coleman Hemphill, people like Jesse. I can't remember his last name, but anyways, there's a lot of really great people that are standing up. Heather Fazio, they're standing up for cannabis patients' rights, and the people that do need access to the plant. So really, I'm just trying to be as much help as humanly possible while just kind of keeping my head down and doing what the inspector told me. Just ignore her. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Oof.
So
Um.
I'm not going to name
So
names, but
yeah.
she
Yeah.
knows who she is.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Um. So Uh, previously, you mentioned that you plan on um, expanding the operation, so to speak, to include growing hemp for building materials and textiles. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
Um, what is the time frame for that?
The plants will be done literally in a month. So you can't see it. I could point the camera outside, but we've got
Yeah.
about 12 to 15 foot plants right now. We got 1 million plants. We'll be dropping those soon. We just got our compliance testing done. And I say we, I'm the owner of the farm. My family owns the farm, and we brought in a group, Ashley and Nahele, who own the company, which is Biofiber Hemp Industries. And so they're actually already making bales of herd, and we're doing a hemp well, actually, it's a hempcrete symposium on the farm, October 24th, with a gentleman
Gotcha.
named Matt Eklund. And so, with all those people together, we're trying to do our best to educate all of our neighbors and whoever wants to learn about
Mm-hmm.
hempcrete. And then the benefits of the hemp herd for animal bedding is, like, as you know, antimicrobial,
Yeah.
antibacterial. There's less disease being
Absorbent.
spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, less disease being spread from not using hay. So sure, it might be a little bit more expensive, but in the long haul, If we
Absolutely.
continue to grow a bunch, if we continue to do this, we're going to find that hemp herd is going to be way better medium than hay ever was,
Yeah.
for animal bedding, anyways. And so, realistically, we're going to be building on the farm. We're going to be building some structures. A dream of mine, ideally, would be to put a bee hive inside of the hemp wall, have a tube coming out, and have it like as like an experience where you can come, sleep on the farm, but in a hempcrete house where you're breathing in more healthy oxygen because of the carbon
Yeah.
sequestration,
Yeah.
and then also you get to buzz with the hive, so you get to enjoy that. I mean, beekeepers have
Yeah.
the longest life expectancy out of any profession in the entire
Oh.
world. And so that being said, I'd like to create an experience where people can come in and be one with the hive, breathe in that
Hmm.
healthy oxygen from the hemp, breathe in that healthy oxygen from the bees. So those are just some goals and dreams. And I know I'm a dreamer, but
Hey, that's how the world works. You dream and
yeah,
then you do
trying
it, and then
trying to
things
bring it
change.
together. Yeah,
A-
that's it.
Absolutely. And now, as far as the Be Delightful operation, I know that your bread and butter, so to speak, is honey, but is there any opportunity for expanding the product line into other honey based things or other foods or?
Yeah, so we actually just started doing just pure local raw honey. So we'll be
Mm-hmm.
selling just our local honey because people have been asking for it for years. We actually have, I can't say specifically who it is, but we have a canned beverage that is going to be using our honey to be making a really nice, alcohol alternative. So we'll have just a little bit of our honey in
Yep.
there. And yeah, I'm really, really, really excited for that. There's been groups that have been making like different edible products as well, like some baked goods and otherwise. For me, I'm staying in the honey lane right now because I'm really really loving it. We just picked up Central Market, which is owned by HEB out of Texas, and that's been a blessing as well. So just getting the word out and letting people know that our honey exists is really phenomenal. I love
Um,
making hemp edibles, and so I'd love to make anything along those lines. But I like the honey because it can get it's like a clean slate, like a blank canvas for anybody that wants to create something themselves.
Absolutely. And you could down the line maybe have like a recipe book that you could sell with all of the hemp or
Yep,
honey applications. My apologies.
coming
Um,
soon.
yeah, sign me up. I'll be a co-author.
Totally, totally.
um, but that's really great. And the last question is, looking back, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to to anyone who's just starting out in the hemp industry or is looking to get into it? What advice would you give them?
Well, I've been asked that a couple times and even recently, and my answer is, keep knocking 100%. Anytime that somebody closes a door on you, it means that there's another 100 doors that'll open up to you. And realistically, don't take advice from people that aren't where you want to be. Like we have to realize that not everybody is going to give us the best advice, and we should just follow our hearts, follow our dreams, and follow our true goal, because money is a consequence of doing what you love. And that's the most
Yeah,
important thing to remember, that money, although it runs the world, it's really a consequence. It's just something that we have to have and we have to do and we have to play by, but it's not. We can live in an ultimate utopian society by creating the universe and the reality that we want from within. The laws of attraction are 100% real. Like, this is
yeah.
real life. Anything that you can think about, you can become 100%. So if you're attracting negative things in your life, you might want to think about changing your mindset. Living in a pure, like, the most ultimate vibration in life is pure gratitude. So if you're just living in a pure gratitude vibration of life, everything's going to fall right into place. I guarantee
Well, that seems like the perfect note to end it on. I couldn't think of better words. um,
it.
well, thank you for so much, Skyler, for joining. Is there anything else you would like to plug? Where people find you? Where can people buy your stuff? Where can people consume anything Skyler Johnson produced?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, we just launched a new product, so a little selfless shame promotion.
No, please, please,
So
please.
we just came out with a really cool little sachet, which is 10 milligrams THC. It's called Buzzed Bees. It's on the go, so it's perfect for anybody that is enjoying more of a full spectrum. And we're Beedelightful. We hope that anybody that has or never will try our product will be extremely 100% honest with us and tell us how you like it. I mean, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you directly. I'll give my personal email, which is just Skyler@beedelightful.com. I would love to hear from anybody. Any opinion is 100% appreciated. And thank you to everybody who already does support us. It means the world to us.
Absolutely. And I was hoping that I could either send you one of my products, my sweatshirt, or we could work out a thing where I could outfit your entire team. I don't know how many people you got working for you, but we could do something wholesale if that interests you.
My worker bees would love to rock some hemp, so absolutely. And I'd love to send you some honey too.
Thank you so much. We'll be in touch with that a little later, but I think this is a great place to stop, and I'll talk to you very soon. This will be released probably by the end of September, first week of October, but I will send you
Okay.
the link and let you know when it's live.
Perfect. Well, buzz on by and I'll sweeten your day.
Awesome. Bye
All
bye.
right. Have a good one.
You as well.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye,
Bye bye.
Miles.